There are over 40% more condo listings in Greater Vancouver right now, but prices are still rising and homes are still selling faster. So what is actually happening in Vancouver's most active housing segment? This month, we are seeing major shift in buyer behavior and inventory levels, but surprisingly, pricing has remained steady. We'll dig into what this really means for you, whether you're buying, selling, or investing. So in this video, we'll unpack the March 2025 condo sales, pricing, listings, and key market drivers to help you stay one step ahead of the competition in this spring market. Let's get into it. Okay, section number one, sales and inventory trends, how the market is actually moving. First, let's look at sales year over year. So apartment sales in March 2025 totaled 1,084. This is down 10.2% from 1,207 sales in March 2024. So this dip in sales year over year reflects the caution among buyers driven by broader economic factors, buyer fatigue, an influx of inventory. But despite the decrease, this segment still leads in total transactions, showing condos remain a core part of the market. I mean, when you combine townhome and detached home sales, they still total to less than the sales in the condo market. So what's happening in the market right now? We're seeing an increase of 11.1% from 976 sales in February 2025. So a rise in sales like this month over month aligns with the seasonal expectation as spring approaches. A bounce like this shows that buyers are beginning to re-enter the market, taking advantage of more listings, so more selection, pricing stability, and also falling interest rates. I'll talk about interest rates later in the video, but it's nice to see these sales start to increase as rates start to decrease. Combine this with an uptick in activity that we usually see in the spring market. This is a really good sign that the apartment and condo segment of the market is starting to bounce back. So active condo listings in March 2025 were up 6,672. So now let's look at listings year over year. So active supply in the inventory. There were 6,672 active condo listings in March 2025. This is a 42.6% increase from 4,679 active listings in March 2024. This is a huge increase year over year. We've seen this kind of increase in both the detached segment of the market and also the townhome segment of the market. There's just so much inventory on the market right now. A big portion of this is we're seeing a shift in seller sentiment year over year. Last year, with higher interest rates, buyers hesitant to enter the market. If a seller had the choice of listing their home now or later, they were always choosing later. Right now is later. So when we see a big jump in listings like this, sellers are feeling more confident about the market and they expect higher demand moving into the spring. Buyers now have way more choices than at any point in recent years, creating way more room to negotiate and shop around. If you're looking for a specific property or a really good deal, right now is a really good time. Now let's look at the change of listings month over month. So what is happening in the market right now? Listings rose 14.7% from 5,817 in February 2025 to 6,672 active listings right now, March 2025. So new inventory is entering the market really quickly, giving buyers time and leverage. If you're a buyer right now in the condo market, you're laughing because you're able to get the terms that you want, the prices that you want, and the selection that you want. If this trend continues, it will likely put downward pressure on prices, but not immediately. Demand is still absorbing it steadily. And this past year, we haven't really seen much change in pricing. But speaking of that, let's look at the year over year change in benchmark price and then also the month over month change in benchmark price and see how that is affecting pricing trends overall. So looking at the year over year change in benchmark price, right now the benchmark price is $767,300. This is down 1.3% from $777,000 in March 2024. This very modest dip signals a gentle correction in prices, likely caused by the increase of supply and reduced urgency among buyers right now. A dip in prices like this is expected after looking at the supply and demand numbers in the last section for active inventory and sales. Inventory is way up, sales are down, so it would make sense for prices to decrease. When we're looking at benchmark price in the other segments of the market, we're definitely seeing the largest change in apartments and condos. But now when we look at what's happening in the market right now, so month over month change, we saw a 1% increase from February 2025, where the benchmark price was $759,000 to the $767,000 it is right now. This price bump, despite higher listings and slower sales, suggests that buyer confidence is returning. It also points to a solid underlying demand, particularly in centrally located or transit accessible buildings. The very urban centers are seeing way more activity than some of the other areas in the market. Looking at the sales and active listings and then seeing how that is affecting pricing in the short term, we could be nearing the bottom of the market right now. This is the first sign that we've seen that things are starting to shift. So as we head into the spring market, I'll talk more about how the market may change in the future, but as we go into the spring market, based on these numbers, it does look like things are starting to pick up. So now let's look at the sales to active ratios, whether or not we're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or balanced in the middle. And right now we're in a balanced market. So we're at a 16.2% sales to active ratio. This indicates that there's relative equilibrium between buyers and sellers, so neither of them have a major advantage. If listings continue to rise faster than sales, the market could actually shift more in favor of buyers. But we'll see, because faster sales month over month indicates motivated buyers and better prices. There are tons of other external factors that may be affecting buyers in this market segment, but we're going to talk about that next in section 3, key market drivers, what is influencing supply and demand. So right now, who is buying in this market? Mainly first-time home buyers and investors. The key attraction is affordability and favorable financing conditions that we're seeing month over month. So condos still remain the most accessible way to enter the market, especially for young professionals, new Canadians, first-time home buyers. As interest rates start to come down, buyer affordability goes up. And with the amount of active inventory on the market, buyers are seeing this as a really good opportunity to get into the market. We're starting to see investor demand growing again. Because rents are still high, vacancy remains low, and prices are more favorable. So investors are seeing an opportunity in the market right now for some really good deals in both resale and pre-sale. Assignments right now, so pre-sale condos that have not been fully constructed, buyers can purchase the rights to those condos, and some of them are selling well below the contract price. So you're getting a better price on a brand new condo right now than you would have 3 years ago. We're seeing some investors sell off and move up owners, upsizers who are fueling listings in this market. So right now, many listings are trying to sell ahead of potential mortgage rate drops, aiming to sell before listing competition increases, because there are a lot of listings entering the market every single week. And a lot of sellers of condos are upsizing, trying to get into a townhome. They're seeing a really good opportunity in a slower, depressed market to net the difference, save more money on their more expensive purchase, even if they have to take a small L on the sale of their condo. These opportunities don't come up, and especially if you're a young family or you're planning to have kids, these are the motivated sellers who are taking advantage of this market right now. We are seeing some investors starting to pump inventory into the condo market. Some sellers that actually purchased in 2022, 2021, when the market was hot, are selling for a loss right now. These sellers are struggling to break even. So there definitely are some extremely good opportunities on the market right now if you're watching and ready to take action. So rates staying low and rates falling means more buyers can qualify. They can afford more than they previously would have been able to. And these types of factors are ones that increase pricing. We call it upward pressure on pricing. And this may intensify and demand may increase if rates continue to drop further. So savvy buyers are acting right now to take advantage of the market and beat the crowd before cheaper borrowing costs triggers more competition. Because when we start to see an influx of buyer into the market here in Vancouver, we see that they enter in droves. It's that FOMO, that fear of missing out. So right now is a good balance where you're still getting moderately low rates. We're starting to see some rates under 4%, but you still have a lot of selection with very little competition. So now looking at external factors, one of the big factors with condos are the strata fees. A lot of buyers don't like paying strata fees. So we're seeing a lot of buyers opt for the condos with lower strata fees. And right now, because there's so much selection and we're seeing a very wide range of properties, that top 50% of the properties with high strata fees are seeing way less action than those more affordable ones. We're starting to see a lot of buyers be more economical in the way where they're not looking at getting the most extravagant amenities and are opting for fewer, more simple amenities to increase their monthly savings. So there's the economic uncertainty, the tariffs from the USA, We have our federal election and all the policy changes that comes with that. So right now, a lot of buyers are a little bit hesitant to make a big decision, especially if it's their first home. What I've seen is buyers, first-time home buyers, end up paying more in busier markets because they're more sensitive to the stability. Instead of taking the risk, getting a really good deal in a more uncertain market, in a market where others are fearful because they've never done this before, you know? Like if you're a first-time home buyer, this is definitely a really good opportunity to get into the housing market. Even if there's a lot of uncertainty, so a lot of homes are selling below their replacement costs, meaning the cost it takes to actually build the unit. So if you're getting a unit for a good price in a really good neighborhood that appreciates really well, it's a good building built by a good developer. If the price is right, it's really hard to go wrong in the long term, especially in urban centers where market rates and rents stay pretty high. Okay, so now conclusions and recommendations, market outlook. First, let's start with buyers. So if you're a buyer, prices are stable, inventory is strong, competition is low. In summary, it's a great time to buy. You have more negotiating power now than you likely will in Q2 or Q3 if these trends continue. You're still getting decent interest rates, so you're able to afford at a pretty fair price, and you just have so much opportunity. Because there's a high number of listings, the chances of you finding a really good deal are pretty high. So focused on well-managed, well-located buildings for long-term value. Again, if you're buying a condo, you're either an investor or a first-time home buyer. This is a stepping home. This is an opportunity. It is not a forever home. So pick something that is in line with your lifestyle but has that opportunity for growth. Get pre-approved now and look for listings with longer days on market so you can really put the pressure on sellers with some good, strong offers. For sellers, benchmark prices are up month over month and average days on market are dropping. Momentum is building. Definitely consider listing now before the wave of competing listings start to come later in the spring. Well, that's what we anticipate anyways, historically. And we're definitely seeing well-priced and well-staged units move quickly. So yes, momentum is shifting, but don't wait too long. The market may tilt towards buyers if listings keep rising. Again, we're in a balanced market, so it can go either way. And then the same rules apply in a slower market. Marketing is extremely important and making sure you're exposing your listing to the most amount of buyers possible. Market outlook. In the short term, we are seeing a balanced market condition, slightly tipping to be more favorable towards buyers. More supply and cautious optimism will definitely define this season of real estate sales. But in the mid to long term, if rates continue to fall and listings tighten, condo demand could drive moderate price gains by the end of 2025. It is really hard to tell right now with the amount of external factors going on. In the next, I would say 2 months, we can have a really good idea for what the rest of the year is going to look like real estate wise. So the condo market is waking up. Looking at the numbers right now, we could be seeing a shift in momentum. The spring market can bring a lot of things for the condo market. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you taking action? I've done detached market update videos and then also townhome market video. The townhome market video is crazy. Over 30% increase in sales month over month, which is insane, especially compared to detached homes and then apartments that you just saw. So be sure to check that one out. And if you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.